Hey, folks, we want to let you know that we're going to start reading emails from you, our listeners. And so if you want to email us and you want to tell us about what is exciting you about this podcast, things you're learning, stories of your own life that you're having conversations with people about masks, you can email us at TOTMPOD100. That's TOTMPod100 at gmail.com. We look forward to seeing your emails and we look forward to reading them here on the show. Thank you so much, folks.
I had a good friend back at college. He was so funny because he had this amazing ability to just ask woman after woman after woman up for a date, and he could just take the no. He could just take the no. It was like water off his back. He was like a duck. And I was just like, and he just said, it's simple. If I ask 100 women, at least 3 of them have got to say yes. So it's just a question of numbers. And so where do you think he ended up working? Sales, right? He's a salesman because he can just take. But think of that. Think of that sort of that's beautiful self-worth, isn't it? It's like it doesn't matter how many times a person says no. There's a reason why they say no. We're not a good match.
Yeah.
It's not. He doesn't turn it on himself and say, "Oh God, what's wrong with me?" And he doesn't turn it in on himself. He doesn't self-destruct. I loved the attitude. He used to really make me smile, and he would just go around until he got a hit, basically.
Hello and welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. My name is Ashanti Branch, and I'm really glad you joined us. Today's guest is Pellegrino Riccardi. Pellegrino lives in Norway. He's a keynote speaker. He's a communication skills trainer, and he's an author of a book called Drowning Quietly. Now, maybe that topic of that book already rings bells, but I'm going to read you a paragraph from the book. I haven't had a chance to read the whole book yet, but let me just read this part that I think will set you up for this conversation that he and I are going to have. The paragraph says, I didn't like the man I saw when I observed him in the mirror, the man who'd abandoned his daughter by a pool. I needed to see a new man, a new self, so that if nothing else, at least I could forgive myself for being the man I was. I needed to escape from the airbrushed self that people need to see on my Facebook and LinkedIn pages. That's not me. That man appears to have many of the trappings of success, but they're just smokescreens designed to divert people away from the truth, which is that he is filled with insecurity, vulnerability, and weakness. You know, what a beautiful writing, first of all. And I just want you to know that in this conversation, we're going to talk about a lot of topics. You're going to hear him talk about how humor became his secret power. Communicating became his secret power of growing up because it was his role to disarm some of the adults in his life so he could protect the family. And maybe you out there have been a person who had to step up when you were way young, when you had to be the defender of others, when you had to be the protector of others, when you were trying to figure out who was going to protect you. I hope in these conversations you recognize how much that you're not alone. I hope that you recognize that whatever you're going through, hopefully you have some place that you can go and be able to talk about it with others. You know, he gave me another nugget that I want to share with you here is that, Pellegrino is from the UK. And so in the UK, when you ask people how you're doing, the answer is typically not too bad. I mean, it starts at bad and it works its way up to better, not too bad. But where he lives now in Norway, when you ask someone how they're doing, the response is only good. Man, imagine that, right? I mean, we know here in the U.S. when we talk to young people and even adults, when we ask them how they're doing, we say, I'm good, I'm cool, I'm fine, I'm all right, not too bad, never been better. We have lots of phrases that we use here, but I'm fine, I'm good are usually the easy answers we find ourselves here. But to go further than saying I'm fine or I'm cool or I'm all right or I'm good, to say only good is another step. And I wonder how many people have walked around saying, I'm only good. I'm only good. Maybe even the idea of fake it till you make it. If I just believe it, if I just find the secret, just keep manifesting it, it's going to happen. And sometimes we miss dealing with all the things that we need to deal with anyway. So I really hope you enjoyed this conversation with Pellegrino. He and I had a fantastic conversation. I'm looking forward to going to Norway one day now that I know somebody there. I won't go in the winter. I promise you that. Because the day that I talked to him, I think he said it was 30 below. And I'm like, 30 below what? 30 below 110? Because that's the only temperature that I'm going to be visiting in. But 30 below, yeah. As you can tell, I don't live in a cold, that kind of place, even though it's cold, a little chilly here today. But no one in Norway would take me saying today is chilly as anything serious. So, listen, these conversations are important. If you have not yet made a mask, I want to invite you to be a part of this first milestone. We're really close. We're about 30 to 60 days away. We're about 2 months away from hitting this first milestone of 100,000 masks from people all over the world. And if you have not yet, you can go to millionmask.org and make your own mask anonymously. Pellegrino and I are going to share our masks publicly, but you don't have to do that. You can just go in and make your mask and be a part of this movement. Thank you for listening. If you know of anyone that we should be talking to on the show, please let us know. Send us an email. At the bottom of the show notes, there's a place you can actually support this podcast. Whatever you feel that you want to contribute to help us continue having these conversations with men of all ages, from all backgrounds, from all over the world. We look forward to you being a partner with us in this. Thank you for being a part of the Taking Off the Mask podcast. Please enjoy today's episode. Oh my God. Well, listen, Riccardi, Pellegrino Riccardi. Let me start over because I'm not already laughing. I'm laughing too much. I can't even say it straight. Oh, well, listen, we've already started the show before the show. So I guess, folks, I'm sorry you missed some of this Comedy Central opportunity that we had over here. But we were definitely so glad to be a part of, to have you here today. So let me start over because I'm laughing too much.
It's good. It's human.
It's good.
It's human.
I was amazed that, here's what I said. You told me that it was 0 degrees where you are, and then you're eating ice. And I'm like, how is he doing that? And I'm like, got sleeves. I got a beanie on. Like, I'm trying to
Yeah, I'm not outside in the ice, am I? I mean, go on, give him my name. Pellegrino.
Pellegrino.
No,
I'll give you a new one.
Pellegrino. Pellegrino. Don't do it. Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
You're going to make me mess it up. I'm definitely going to mess it up. I'm going to be like Pellegrino.
Yeah, just think of the water. Pellegrino.
Pellegrino.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Let's go.
There we go. Pellegrino Riccardi, welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm already smiling. I'm just looking at your face. How can you not smile when you look at your face? It's such a happy face. I love it.
Oh man, well your energy is infectious. So I tell you, I feel it already, and I'm really excited to this conversation. How about this? How about you introduce yourself to folks? Let them know who you are, what you want them to know about you, and then we'll jump in. But I'm really thankful that you're here with us today.
Yeah, I mean, as the name probably suggests, Pellegrino Riccardi, I have Italian heritage. So both my parents are from the south of Italy, the Naples area. They moved to the UK in the 60s. They emigrated to find work. So I was born in the UK, raised in the UK. And then by trade, I have two trades. I'm a musician, a drummer. So I played music. And I was a teacher. So I did two jobs at the same time. And then the music part took off a bit, had some success there. And during one of my tours, I met a Norwegian at a Norwegian festival. And then I decided to move to Norway and kind of start afresh and take up the teaching again. And I've been in Norway for 27 years, loving it. And today I am what they call a keynote speaker. So I do talks at conferences for companies. And I talk about cultural differences. I talk about how to create workplaces where people thrive. And my latest theme, actually, I talk a lot about love in the workplace. How do you create
Mm,
love in the workplace? And those
nice.
two words don't really go together, do they? Love, workplace? No, what are you talking about? Because I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about how you create a place where love grows, because people work better when they feel love. I know it
Mm,
sounds hippie 60s, but the scientists at Harvard University have
yeah.
done a lot of research around this. And love in the workplace makes people perform better. They're just better at their work. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I do.
I love that. I love the, we in our work we talk a lot about hearts, right? We have, not only do we give out hearts in the workshop, but
Hmm.
we talk about this journey from the head to the heart, right? And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
sometimes in the workplace where people are expected to be in their heads all the time, to do, the do, and less of
Right.
the being, right?
Yeah,
And
right. And I do it.
um,
And my talks, when I talk to the head and the heart, especially the heart.
yeah,
So emotions are a really big part of my talks. I break
nice,
people's I break people down in a good way. I kind
yeah,
of, I don't know if force is the right word, but I encourage them to release their feelings as
yeah,
human beings, because that's a good thing in a workplace. And I do that in my speaking. And I
nice,
also write as well. I've written a couple of books, one in Norwegian and one in English,
okay,
where the aim of the book is obviously to entertain and educate, hopefully, but also to get people to feel, which is really difficult through words, get them to feel stuff. Yeah?
yeah.
So it's all about feelings for me.
I appreciate that. I'm excited because that's what this conversation is about. It's about us connecting to the heart. And I think when you get the opportunity to connect to the heart of people, I think it's that place of like, I am. I tell audiences all the time, like, I'm not here to give you a list of things to do.
No.
I'm here to see if you can get back to the essence of you, right?
Mm,
The part of you that may be afraid to show up, right? The part of you that may be afraid to let people know your full self, and
mm.
for good reasons, not
Yeah.
for deception reasons, but for the reasons
No.
that we've tried and people have not accepted or rejected or disrespected us, right?
Mm,
And how do we find those places that we can say who are the people that should be in our circle a little closer, right? Maybe we have all these little
mm.
layers of circles, but maybe
Mm.
do you have a close circle? I had a mentor ask me once. He said, "Ashanti, where are you fully known?"
Oh,
And I was like, "Hmm."
where are you fully known?
Yeah, I said
Are you
nowhere.
fully known anywhere apart from in your
Yeah,
own head?
yeah. I told him no.
That's what I think of immediately.
Yeah,
Am I anywhere fully known?
yeah. And then the next second question was actually a little bit more aggressive, but he said, "Do you think it's possible to be fully loved if you're not fully known?"
Wow, that's very God. That's got me thinking now.
Hit me in the gut. Hit me in the
Yeah,
gut.
right. Well, how
And
did you answer? What did you say?
I was irritated. I was irritated,
Yeah, right.
but not out of like right? I mean, because of the people who know me, my family knows me, but they know what I let them know, what they can handle. My work knows me; they know what I can let them know. That my group of friends know what I think I can let them know. I'm on a men's team. I've been on the men's team for 10 years. They know a lot more because it's a really intentional, sacred,
Mm.
confidential space. But man, sometimes I'm still changing back in between who people can handle, right? Who can they take?
Well, we have different layers of identity, that's for sure. And you're making me think of this last book I wrote. I let people know certain sides of me that they didn't know before. And while friends and family were reading the book, I got a lot of text messages which said the same thing, and that was three letters: WTF.
Oh, wow,
WTF, like, man, I had no idea. My sister said, I had no idea. Why didn't you tell me before?
wow.
Right? So, it's one thing to let people know, but can they handle it? Do they want to know? That's the other question. They don't always want to know, yeah?
Yeah, yeah,
Which sounds odd. You'd think that everyone would want to know, but a lot of people, to quote Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. Sometimes people don't want it. They don't. They like the package that they see,
yeah,
but they don't necessarily want more because it's uncomfortable to think
yeah.
about that side of you. But that is part of you, isn't it?
It is.
So I think the follow-up question is: do we have an obligation to tell people, or should we just keep it to ourselves?
Yeah, powerful.
right?
And I think, oh man, great question. And I think in our work when we tell students, we say everyone doesn't haven't earned the right to know all of your story. But do you have at least somebody that you can be more of your full self? Where can you be a little bit
Mm,
more of your full self as you
mm,
begin to get more
mm,
fully known? You know,
mm.
like because I think people need it. I think it's exhausting. You know.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely exhausting trying to hold a lid on a very hot cooking pot, right? For a long time. You're going to get burned. You're going to get steam burns. It's exhausting and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
dangerous as well, right?
yeah,
Again, I'm not saying we should let everyone know everything, but certainly select certain people who share the inner parts of our lives. But that's so important because and difficult because you become immediately vulnerable,
yeah.
right? Especially with the people you love,
Yeah. I mean, I think
right?
imagine even our devices, right? Like if for the different places we exist in these
Yeah.
places is
Oh.
that like even more, right? It's like, oh, I'm on LinkedIn. Okay, I can't post this on LinkedIn. This is a funny thing. I
Mm,
only post it on Facebook and I can't post this
mm,
on this place because I'm supposed to be more business and I gotta be more serious over there. And so you
mm.
kind of like I mean, I think our kids grow up in a place where they've always had an avatar. They've always had a made up name.
Yeah.
They've always had like, oh, don't put your real name, put a different name so people don't know who you are
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're
Right.
trying to protect you, but we're also having to create an avatar for ourselves, right?
But
And
then, but then, psychologists will tell you that spending too much time and energy on what they call the false self rather than the true self is also very dangerous.
yeah, yeah,
I can't remember his name now. There was a famous British child psychologist of the 60s who did studies into this, and he warned parents, about their children. The whole idea of play is to explore who you are, actually. You take on different identities to explore who you really are. That's
yeah,
great because when you're not playing with that to find out what you are, you're hiding it some way. And then you're putting on the full self. And the full self is good. Sometimes it's also useful when you go to a job interview. You're not yourself. You pretend to be, but you're not. On your first date with someone you think could be someone, you're not yourself. I don't believe anyone who says they are. No, you're not. You're absolutely not yourself. So that it's useful too,
yeah,
but too much time and energy in the full self
yeah,
is dangerous. And I'm worried about certainly my kids. You know, are they really being themselves out there? I hope so.
yeah,
With the people they trust, at least.
yeah. I mean, imagine even you as a parent who's thinking about that. You imagine even sometimes with ourselves, with kids and their parents, like when their parents say, how was your day?" And you say,
Mm,
"Fine."
mm,
Like we've been practicing that scenario for years and
mm,
days and days. So they know the
mm.
answer to give that disarms, and they know the answer to give that's going to
Yeah,
create some deeper questioning. Right? They don't want more
yeah,
questions. They know the
yeah,
answer to give that. Oh, everything was great about you, right? They move on.
yeah.
But every once in a while they'll give that answer that's a little bit more charged, and you're like, "Oh, what's happening?" And then
Well,
you've
there,
heard
I
it.
think you guys over the water there, you Americans are kind of a bit more positive than us Brits. The
Mm.
typical Brit answer is not too bad. How you doing?
Ah,
Not too bad. We put the word bad in there.
interesting,
Not too
interesting.
bad.
Okay.
We don't say not too good, but we say not too bad. Whereas my impression is you guys, how's it going? Oh yeah, cool,
Good, fine.
fine.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm
Yeah,
good. You?
I'm killing
Yeah.
it.
That's a good one. You got
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah. I'm
yeah.
killing it.
Not too bad. Thank you for the
Not,
translation. Not too. That's actually interesting, right? Like how the communication of
yeah.
our words we choose, right?
Mm.
Like now you wrote a book in Norwegian, so that means you had to learn that language at some
I had
point,
to learn
right?
that language. They say the same, actually. No, they don't
Okay.
actually. Norwegians they say literally translated. A typical Norwegian answer is only good. Only good.
Ah,
That's a good one. I'm only good. All right.
yeah.
Whereas the Brits
Interesting.
have the bad scale. I'm not bad, and I'm not, but I'm not too bad. I never thought of this before. Yeah,
Only good. And
yeah.
I wonder. So what happens when somebody says something different than that? What happens when somebody?
Well, it catches everyone by surprise. Like that's the
Uh,
same in all countries. When you don't give the standard reply, it catches
uh,
people off guard. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I was telling students who I learned Spanish, so that's the only Spanish language I've learned. But
Mm,
in every book, when you ask somebody, "How are you?" the answer is
mm.
"Muy bien," always very good.
Right.
Muy bien, I'm good. How are
Yeah.
you? Muy bien. And it's like that's what every language. So even to learn the language, you start with that, right? It's a practice,
Mm,
right? And
mm.
so imagine that when you say and then you'll have a couple of other answers, and people are like, "Oh, what does that mean?" You're
Mm.
like, because you wonder, or do they even notice that you said something different than what they're already expecting to hear?
And that's where we become, or we should be good body language readers with people we know. When they say I'm good, but you sense they're not really good. Do we follow that up, or do we let it go? What's the deal there?
Yeah.
Do we go in, or do we leave them?
And imagine as a teacher, you had to make those decisions on. Sometimes it was always like, I got too many other things to worry about right now. I mean, I was a teacher too, so
Yeah, yeah,
like you could see it when they walk in the room, like something's going
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah,
time
yeah,
to deal
yeah,
with
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Sometimes when you didn't acknowledge it, it
yeah.
came spewing out like a steam cooker, right? Like a pressure cooker, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh man, I noticed something was up. I should have said something, right?
Mm.
And now it's all over the room. It's a mess, right? We've made a mess, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, I mean, I'm really excited because I think that as we've already had this part of the conversation, the next part is these masks, which I think we're already talking about. But I want to
Mm.
thank you for being a part of this movement with us, and you get to go first. You get to decide who goes first. So either you want me to go first or you go first.
Yeah,
And
yeah. That's a yeah. What do most people pick? I bet they pick you go first. Do
sometimes
they? Or
they're like, I just want to get out of the way. Sometimes they want to see how I would set it up. But I trust that whatever your heart says is the right
all right,
and
I'll go
yeah.
first. My
Okay.
instinct is to say you go first, so I'm going to
Oh,
go against my instinct.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm there. I'm a little bit there. That's the kind of person I am, actually.
All
I
right.
think my veins are telling me let Ashanti go first, so I'm saying no. I'm going to go first.
All right. And so you do the front, and then I'll do the front, and then
Yeah.
if you want to
Do you
switch it
want
up for
all
the
three or one at a time? One at a time, right?
just fold the paper in half maybe, and just show me the front,
Okay.
and
Let me
then
see.
how
I've got it
everyone
here.
describe them. You can describe them. Yeah.
Let's have a look. All right. Here it is in half. This is the front of the mask. Can you read that?
I can. I can. Oh yeah. Oh no way.
No way.
Oh,
Why'd you say no way?
you'll see in a second.
Okay.
You want to read it to us? You want to read it?
Yeah, yeah. So the first one I put, it was very spontaneous. I didn't think too much. Funny,
Yeah.
independent. I don't need anybody else. I'll fix it.
Mm, mm,
Hardworking. Hardworking. I'm sure lots of other men put hardworking.
mm,
Isn't that something that we're blessed and cursed with? The responsibility of working hard. Eh?
yeah. Like that driveway.
You saw the driveway, yeah? That takes a lot of
Yeah.
work. I calculated how much snow. Well, I say in that little clip you saw on Instagram how much
Yeah.
snow, because there are different types of snow, and often it's not that fluffy white stuff, it's that heavy, watery, and
Mm,
we're talking hundreds of thousands of tons of it. Proper workout, yeah? Proper
yeah.
workout. So
Yeah.
that my kids and wife can walk safely out of the house and down to the garage and get out with their cars,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I just can't. I don't live in a place that snows, so I also am oblivious to some of that. But when I watch it, I'm like, that's before you can even go anywhere. That's like you gotta.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you don't know when it's going to snow. So some winters it might do that every night for a week or two. And last year was a good year. Good year meaning it didn't really do it that much. This year we had a few weeks. It just wouldn't stop already.
Oh.
and it means getting up half an hour or an hour earlier than I would normally do to go
Yeah,
and clear the snow, because you're not getting out with the car otherwise.
that's right.
You're not leaving. You're not going anywhere.
Man.
And yeah, that's one kind of work, but
Yeah.
also just working hard. I've always worked hard. My father worked hard. My mother worked hard. Typical immigrants who held down one or two jobs, low paid, the classic immigrant story, right? So their
Yeah.
kids could go to school. And so hard work has always been part of our DNA, I think. It's always been there. It's only recently I started thinking about why we work hard.
Yeah.
What's the real function of doing it? Why am I really working hard?
Yeah.
Without going into all the details of my financial background, I don't need to work hard. And certainly not as hard as I worked
Mm.
20 years ago. I don't need to, strictly speaking. I can take my foot off the pedal a little bit if I want to. And yet I continue to work hard. And then you
Yeah.
start asking yourself, why? Are we destined to work hard? Is it part of our genetic makeup to work hard? Is
Mm.
it? No, because not everybody does it.
Right.
So I started thinking, what is it I'm actually doing? What's the function of the hard work? I think that the answer to that is in the back of the mask when we get to that.
Mm. Okay, well let me do the front and then we'll get
Yeah,
there.
let me see your front.
When you started reading, when you showed it, I was like I started laughing. I think you remember.
Hmm.
So here's my mask.
Let
That's
me
what I
see.
drew.
Oh, you
That's what I
drew.
drew.
Okay, if you drew it.
I
Okay,
drew it,
cool.
and this is what I wrote.
Oh, no way, man.
Yeah,
No way,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I,
Of all the words we could have picked.
and I've tried to switch them up. I was like, okay, let me not pick the one I always pick. Let me pick a new one, and then one that. And man, these are my most common words, the things I want to show.
Hmm.
I want to be lighthearted. I want to
Yeah,
enjoy. I want to have fun. I want
yeah,
to laugh,
yeah,
and I'm serious. And when it's time to get things
yeah,
done, it's time to
yeah,
get things done. You know,
yeah. And that's what
and
I do on stage. I make people laugh.
yeah,
They laugh their heads off on stage. And I've had people say to me, "Have you ever considered stand up?" And then I explain to them, well, the answer to that is no. Let me tell you why. I say, I don't get people to laugh only because I want them to laugh, but it's a great way to get people to remember, because the
mm,
emotional centers of the brain are placed right next to the memory centers.
yeah,
So if you make them laugh or cry, or any emotion, actually, any emotional response, there's more chance of them remembering it. So
yeah,
it's a teaching tool. You know about this probably, right?
yeah. Well,
Of course, it feels good
I'm
to make people laugh. Laughing is good. It's healthy. But I've
yeah,
always been funny. As a kid, I was funny, always funny. But then ask me why I was funny, and the story's not as funny, right? Why
oh
was I always
boy,
funny?
yeah,
Have
wow.
you always been funny?
What you just said right there is an answer to that. I've always needed to be I was the oldest, and so my job was to be air traffic control when my mom got home from work, to make
Okay.
sure that everything was out of the way. That when she walked in the door, there was no things that were going to create a uproar. Like
Right.
everything on her path to go whatever she needs to do was clean, right? Because if it wasn't, I it was going to come. I'm the oldest, so it's going to start with me, but it's going to get to
Yeah.
everybody. And
Yeah.
because I'm the protector, and it was
It
just
was
that
your
thing.
job. Yeah. So
It's my job.
you're averting the storm. You're making sure there's no excuse for your mother
Yeah,
to explode, right?
to have
Same
anything
with
to
me, man.
yeah,
Only it was more with my father than my mother.
yeah,
My job was to keep the atmosphere light so that he didn't erupt.
yeah, mm,
And I developed this sixth sense.
yeah,
I could just tune into his mood immediately, and then crack the appropriate joke or lightheartedness
yeah,
to keep it light, and it didn't always work. But you just get better, right? When you fail, you just get better the next time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was the tool. It was constantly, and it was a defense mechanism, and it was just to alleviate the potential pain, right?
Yeah.
Because they were tired. They came home and they were tired, and they hated their jobs. My father hated his work. He hated
Mm.
it, and he hated a lot of his life. Actually, he was a really angry person, yeah. And yet he carried on for the sake of his children, for which I'm grateful. But at the same time, to do something you really despise for so many years. So he was just like a hair trigger ready to go anytime. And my job
Mm.
was to keep it light, keep that finger light so he doesn't pull the trigger, right? And that's
Wow.
where I got my funniness from.
Yeah. Quick.
Quick,
Quick.
really
Quick.
fast, really
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. Wow, it's amazing the things we do, as kids to survive.
Yeah, yeah.
That sometimes when we become adults, we may not even know we do it, or
Yeah,
we realize, wait, why do I do that?
yeah,
Why do
right.
I why do I why am I trying to be the perfectionist? Why do I? I mean
Yeah.
that's well. I think maybe they were already there. Let's just, you want the back. Let's jump into the
Should
back.
we do the back, yeah?
Hey, folks, I am reaching out to you right now to let you know that we are inviting all of our listeners to become supporters of this podcast. If you find these conversations valuable and meaningful, as we march towards 1 million masks, we know that it's more than just these conversations we need to have. It's more conversations in schools and in communities. And we're going to ask you to help that mission along. We're going to ask you to be a supporter. If you go to the bottom of the show notes, there'll be a link that says support this podcast. And we invite you to be a supporter. Figure out what area makes the most sense for you to support. And we look forward to you being a part of this movement as we make masks with people all over the world. But in these conversations, as we have conversation with men about their masks, from youth all the way to our elders in our community. So thank you for being a part of the podcast, and we'll see you soon. Yeah. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I can go first, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll show the back with the fronts next to it, because they're kind of.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Absolutely.
reacted to the front mask and wrote these because I'm
Mm.
funny there, because I'm actually sad,
Mhm.
right? I'm
Yeah.
independent, but actually I'm quite lonely
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because I've been disappointed so many times. So I stay away. Just do it myself. It's safer.
Yeah.
And the last one with hard working, I work hard to numb the pain.
Yeah.
There's a
Mm.
pain inside me, and work is one way. And I guess in a way, I'm glad it's work and it's not alcohol or drugs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's numbing the kind of pain there. That's my, and I don't show that. I showed it in the book I wrote,
Yeah.
and that's what surprised people. And then when you show the back of the mask,
Yeah.
what I find is that other people have got very similar ones, so they've
Yeah.
got a similar. And now of course I can't wait to see your back of the mask.
I'm ready.
But you see, there's kind of the opposite, right? It's
Yeah.
this is why I'm that, because I'm
Yeah.
actually trying to hide that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so I made lots of these masks, and sometimes I'm just like, what's happening today? What's really present today? And I think that here's my I'll show it in comparison that they probably connect to:
Mm.
fear of failure,
Yeah.
perfectionist,
Perfectionist,
and
self doubt.
self-doubt. And it shows up in a couple of ways. I think the fear of failure is like, the reason I work so hard is like, I just, I made all these decisions to like
Mm.
take this new career from the career that I worked so hard for, and I went to this
Mm.
teaching education and then figuring it out, like, and I think the one that's really present sometimes is the perfectionist. And I was listening to a podcast recently, and it's like, why don't I post like as much as I really in my heart want to post? Because I'm always like,
Mm.
I'm always prejudging. I'll
Mm,
prejudge the video before it even goes
mm,
out because I'm
mm,
like, I can't do that. I'll make a draft, and I'm like, who are you to
mm,
be giving people advice about that? Who are you to be thinking
mm,
you're somebody special about that? And so the self doubt kicks in,
mm,
and it all almost perpetuates that you can't be successful if you're afraid to fail, right? If
mm.
you're afraid, failure is part of success. like there's just you
Yeah, you
gotta
have
just
to. You have
you
to.
know, have more wins than losses, right? But
Yeah,
there's losses are a part of success, and I think sometimes I get into the mode of like, it has to be better, it has to be better, and I think I probably drive some of my team sometimes crazy sometimes
crazy.
because I'm like, why,
Yeah.
why, like some like small stuff, right? Like, so, and it's hard to let go. It's hard to trust too. It's hard to trust, like
Yeah.
letting go and trust, right? Like I think
Yeah.
those are some difficult ones that have.
Yeah, I try not to be hard on my son. My son is like 19, and when I'm away, he'll clear the snow for me, right?
Mhm.
But he doesn't do it as well. And I'm driving back home, and I'm thinking, when you get home, there's one thing you're going to say, which is thank you.
Mm.
Nothing else. Don't
Yeah.
thank you. That's it. Don't say, "Oh, son, you need to get a bit deeper here," because just say thank you. You know,
Yeah.
there's the perfectionist. But
Yeah.
I've thought about this a lot and worked with it a lot. And I came up with this sort of phrase. I read it somewhere and thought, that's so cool. And it was this: people want connection, not perfection.
Mm.
People want
Mm.
connection, not perfection. What you're doing now is a connecting device. You're connecting people. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking for perfection.
Right.
No, or rather, nobody really wants it. You
Right.
might want it from your brain surgeon or your pilot. That's cool. That's perfection, please. No,
Yeah.
don't. No connection. Just give me perfection right now. But apart from these little small, it's we're looking to connect with people. I think we found it during the pandemic as well. We
Mm.
all jumped over quite quickly to this digital format,
Yeah.
which most of the time didn't work that well.
Yeah.
How many times have we? Well, we've done it as well on this recording. It doesn't work as it's supposed to, right?
Right.
But who cares? And I think I said to you, it doesn't matter. It's blurry, Ashanti. I can still see your smile through the blurs. No pixel's gonna hide that smile. Yeah. So you can pixelate all you want, my friend, but it's still there. Yeah. Because that's the connecting part. That's the
That's right.
connection, right? It's not.
That's
It's
right.
not perfection. And I keep telling that to myself.
Yeah.
People want connection, not perfection. Let it go. Stop now. Move on.
Mm. I like that. I like that. And I think about that a lot. Like the part of people want connection, not perfection. And I wonder what it would it be like in those moments where we're trying to just make it better, that we get real good at like the acceptance, the thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah.
Now, how can I support us to as a team? Like, you're leading a family, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about if I'm leading
Yeah.
whether I'm leading a family or a company, and I imagine you see it in the companies you go to, right?
Yeah.
The boss is sometimes in their head like, I just want us to be the best. I do care about people, and how do
Yeah,
I
but
put
that's
the
different.
balance?
That's different. Being the best is different. That's great.
Mhm.
Ambition is great. Being ambitious, aiming high, performance, cool,
Yeah.
but not perfection. First
Mm.
of all, it's unattainable. You'll never get it.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
people say, yeah, but if you aim for perfection, you end up. No. If you aim for perfection, you'll never get close. Aim
Right.
high, cool,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't aim for perfect because you're destined to be disappointed. Do you see what
Mm.
I'm trying to say there?
Oh, I
Yeah,
do. Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely.
nuance, but that word perfection, and judging by what you've shown me about your back of your mask, we're similar as well. We're quite hard judges of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
lean off a bit. It's good to have fear of failure because that drives you forward.
Yeah.
The good side of that is you don't want to disappoint people. I
Yeah.
don't want to disappoint people who pay good money to have me come and speak at their conferences, right?
Yeah.
I want to deliver. I have a responsibility. I really care. I genuinely do care. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had one customer who wasn't happy. with what I delivered for various reasons, I gave them their money back. I said, okay,
Mm.
don't pay. You're not paying for this because it's really important to me. First of all, I'm really sorry you're not happy.
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't want you to pay for it. That's the
yeah,
least I can do. That's a responsibility, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So fear of failure is a good thing in moderation.
In
It's when
moderation.
it becomes an obsession, and
Yeah,
perfection is a form of obsession, basically. I
yeah,
believe. I
yeah.
believe.
And I think that, and I'm thinking about, as you say it, like I wonder if I'm thinking when I'm in that mode, if I think it should be perfect, or that it's not as good as I want it to be, so therefore I won't let it out. Like, it's almost like I in my mind would
Yeah.
never think that I would ever be
Well,
perfect.
that's interesting. Now we're into something else that I don't want to let it out. But that's not perfection. That's fear
It's
of
fear.
judgment. That's fear
Def-
of judgment.
Fear,
That's
definitely.
fear of rejection,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
That's like not daring to ask the girl or the boy on a date
that's
because
right.
you're afraid of the rejection.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I had a good friend back at college. He was so funny because he had this amazing ability to just ask woman after woman after woman up for a date, and he could just take the no. He could just take the no. It was like water off his back. He was like a duck. And I was just like, and he just said, it's simple. If I ask 100 women, at least three of them have got to say yes. So it's just a question of numbers. And so, and so, where do you think he ended up working? Sales, right? He's a salesman because he could just take. But think of that. Think of that sort of that's beautiful self-worth, isn't it? It's like it doesn't matter how many times a person says no.
That's
There's a
right.
reason why they say no. We're not a good match.
Yeah.
It's not. He doesn't turn it on himself and say, "Oh God, what's wrong with me?" And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
doesn't turn it in on himself. He doesn't self-destruct. I loved the attitude. He used to really make me smile, and he would just go around until he got a kind of a until he got a hit, basically. And that fear of rejection, fear of judgment, uh, just fear of being sort of what's the word? It's kind of an exposure, isn't it? They'll
Mm.
know I'm not actually that good,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's a
Yeah.
that's a good one. Oh, they're gonna find out I'm not that good.
That's right. That's right. And that idea of like, how do I reconcile that within this self of mine who is so hardworking? Like I'm
Yeah,
working so hard, and then to not get the result that I think that
yeah,
I should
good. I
get.
like that. Yeah, it doesn't because that doesn't match with all the effort. But I've put in all this effort.
Yeah.
How could you possibly say no to it?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is why I don't think critics of art, music, books, I don't think they understand how painful
Mm.
it is to put in all the effort and then someone just slams what you've created and calls it a pile of shit,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Even if they're right.
Oh man. Oh man.
Right?
And imagine, and that's true for like I have some interns working on stuff for the movement, and I'm like, and I have to be. I'm like, okay, they worked really hard on it, and you want to
Mm,
be as delicate and as clear as possible,
yeah.
because ultimately, like it's that dance between like, okay, so here's the things I really like, and
Yep.
I have to get really good. Like, what are their style of feedback? What style of feedback can they
Yeah.
handle? How much,
Yeah.
what do they? And so really being able to support people, because I care about people. I care a
Of
lot, and I
course.
think
Yeah.
I think being at that kind of in this kind of industry, we're working with young people who are trying to become their best selves, and knowing that some, once they shut down, and they're like, I'm not doing nothing else. You said it was bad, therefore I'm not going to try again. And you're like, no, that's not what I'm saying, right? And how
Yeah,
do you?
right.
And we all
How do
have
you
those
find
messages.
that balance? Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Because you don't want to be
So
unclear. You certainly don't want to lie. You certainly don't want to, bullshit them.
that's
You
right.
want to give it to them straight, but in a way that they can handle it. And there's a responsibility on both sides. I mean, as a speaker, I have a couple of people who give me tips and advice on how to improve as a speaker.
Yeah.
They're people I respect. They work in the speaking industry as well. And before they give their feedback, I always say to them, listen, you've got to be honest with your feedback. And I'm
Mhm.
just warning you, it's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
You'll see it on my face. It's
Yeah.
going to really hurt me, the negative feedback. But don't let that make you sway off the truth. Just give it to me because I really
Mm,
appreciate it. I'll get over
mm,
the pain,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think how many people would say that to you? Listen, give it to me straight. I know it's going to hurt. You're going to see me in pain, but don't stop. Keep going
Yeah.
because I need it. I need it, man. So give it to me. I respect your opinion. And you can see them watching your face. I turn the pain on, and you can see them. They want to go off, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, sorry. No, don't be sorry.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Keep going.
It's
Yeah.
really difficult, right? It's really difficult to be honest to people, yet caring.
And caring at the same, yeah. And it's so important. And I think as a mentor for all these years, I've always had to tell my young men. I said, I want to ask you if I can give you some feedback because I don't want to just start offering you feedback if you're not ready for it or
Right,
if you don't really want to hear it. You know,
right,
like so.
right.
Tell 'em- and sometimes they just want to vent, and I'm like, okay, we have a vent session. Go ahead and vent, and I'll take you know. Let me know
Yeah,
how you want me to how you want me to operate on this end. You want me to
yeah, yeah,
reflect back how I'm really hearing it, or do you want me to just listen, like because I
yeah.
think those are different ways of being with people when they're in the need of something, you know. Yeah,
But it,
you know. Listen, I'm sorry we went over a little bit over time, but I am so
oh,
thankful for you for making time for this conversation. I think we had a whole conversation before the conversation that I'm really
yeah.
excited. But what I would like to do is I would like you to is there anything last thing you want to tell people out there or that's coming to you in terms of this work, but also I do want to give you time so you can tell people how they can find you and connect with you because I think your energy is going to affect a lot of people in a very beautiful way.
Yeah, I mean, based on this conversation alone, it really in line with what I do anyway, which is to get people to be brave enough to let down some of the mask, yeah? Be a bit more vulnerable. I know we've heard that before, but vulnerability actually connects people. It really does. Um, I mean, I think back to the horrible events of September 2001, right in New York. Horrible. But that level of vulnerability actually connected Americans, New Yorkers for sure. They were, and it's that collective vulnerability that connects us.
Yeah,
We think, especially men, we think that putting on this stoic mask somehow helps others to trust us more because we're strong on their behalf. But it doesn't. It often has the opposite effect.
yeah,
So
yeah,
drop the mask. Maybe not all your masks all at the same time to everyone. Be selective, but don't be afraid. Go for it. It's really worth it. It's a journey I've been on for the past few years now, and that's what my book was about. Really, you know, it's thinking back. I should have called it "Dropping the Mask" or something,
yeah.
but yeah, do it. Go for it. Go for it. You'll be amazed at the results. Actually,
Well, I'm appreciating you. Will you tell folks how they can find you? Or tell them the name of your book also, but tell them how we can find you
yeah,
and
I'm
what's
really
the
easy to find. Just put Pellegrino Norway. I live in Norway, so just put Pellegrino. I think I'm the only Pellegrino in Norway. And then just ignore all the bottles of water that Google brings up for you. There's nothing to do with the water. And if you see a football player in there, I'm not the football player who's been imported. And just check me out. And the book is called Drowning Quietly. And
Mm,
it's about how we men often drown quietly in our feelings and our doubts. Then rather than air them, we drown in them and we suffocate and we go under. And the book is really an exercise in coming to the surface. And you can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can get it as a Kindle or a paperback.
nice.
Yeah, man.
Pellegrino, I enjoyed this conversation
Yeah, me
so
too.
much.
Loved it.
Hey, folks, Pellegrino and I, we share our mask publicly. You don't have to do that. You can actually make your mask anonymously at millionmasks.org. And maybe you'll find somebody you're interested in sharing it with in your life. And maybe you'll invite somebody else in your life to make a mask and talk about them together. But we invite you to make a mask just to know that you're not alone. And there's so much more to you than anybody can see by looking at you.
Yeah.
Pellegrino, I am
Amen.
so glad to be in this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks.
The Taking Off the Mask podcast is produced by Ryan Louie. Graphics are by Kelly Wong. And a special thanks to the team at Ever Forward, Vanessa Cortez and Choke Allen Alvarez. We'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the creation of this podcast as we cross the 100th episode milestone and begin the work to the next 100. We hope that everyone who's been a part knows that they're a part of the Taking Off the Mask family. And we look forward to you being a part of it as well. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, write a 5-star review, and share, as we look forward to continuing to have conversations that matter. Stay tuned for the relaunch of the Million Mask Movement on 11/11/22. That's November 11th of 2022. There's a math problem in there. You can find out more by visiting everforwardclub.org and following us on social media. Take care, and we'll see you soon.